Welcome back to episode 15 of the Baschamania podcast. I am your host, Justin Bash, and I'm excited for today's show. So far, all of the wrestlers we've had on this show are doing nothing but training. Some in college, some post-college, but all have no other jobs or careers. It's just wrestling. Today's guest, NCAA champion at 125 pounds from Penn State, Nico Megaludis, has a full-time career in the finance world. He recently made the move from Penn State to Pitt to train there full-time and run his finance career. I'm really excited to dive into this conversation and compare and contrast a bit from the other conversations and perspectives we typically see on the show, which is nothing but wrestling. If you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Anchor, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if available on the app, leave a review for us and share this episode with your friends. That said, let's dive into why you're listening.
It's Baschamania! Let me tell you something, brother. He gave us everything he had in him tonight. What you gonna do when Baschamania runs wild on you? Oh, it's gonna be a good one. And business just picked up here on the podcast. Oh, yeah.
All right, Baby Flow Nico, the podcast is starting. We were just talking offline, and I'm like, this is getting too good. We can't leave this off. So, first of all, how are you?
Great, man. No complaints on my end.
So you're in Pittsburgh. How is that? It was kind of a quiet move moving over from Penn State to Pitt to train, and I want to really get into that because so much has to do with your career. How has that transition been?
Yeah, well, I'm from Pittsburgh, and it's 2 hours from State College. And, the last year in Penn State, I was home a decent bit. I do like training at home. I have a great environment here, great facilities, great partners, and then obviously, I have my own house, but my parents, when I was in State College, I would just go down the steps, and we have a big wrestling room and gym, and I never needed
you got a beautiful setup there. Beautiful. I like that setup.
Yeah, and they have a steam room there too and everything, so it was very convenient. But the transition, we kind of knew. I think I competed in the trials in June. This was 2018 or whenever it was, May. And we kind of knew, Cody and all them, they knew it was my last kind of rodeo officially with NLWC. So yeah, it was quite, we knew it was going to happen. I just really, I like Pittsburgh. I think
you were born and raised there, right? So, I mean, that's your...
Yeah, I think lifestyle and wrestling go hand in hand.
Yep.
And for me, I think being busy
yep.
and being around things that I'm thinking 24/7 is good. It helps my wrestling. When you do things that you love, that if I was just training, I'd be watching YouTube 12 hours a day. I'd be going crazy. I still do watch it probably, I don't know, half hour to an hour, of studying film when I can. And, but I'd be going crazy if it was just training.
And so basically at Penn State, all you're doing is training. And to fill some people, not all training, but to fill some people in, we'll add some context. You have a full-time career in the finance world. And that's so unusual in this sport because wrestling, especially for high-level guys, and you're not some like B-level guy who's 17th at the World Team Trials. Like you were in the finals of the World Team Trials Challenge Tournament. Like you're an A-level guy who has a full-time career outside of wrestling. And that's very unique. So I know that part of going from Penn State to Pittsburgh was it made that career more fluent, correct?
Yeah, that was definitely the reason. At the same time, I'm still wrestling because I love it and I want to be the best in the world. That's 100%, what I believe is I believe I can beat anyone in the world and I want to do it. I haven't proved it yet though. So I wouldn't have come back here though if I did not believe that I still couldn't be the best in the world.
Right.
I know obviously Penn State, you have probably 15 guys that you can go with that are phenomenal. Yeah. But here I still have 6, 7 guys that are really good. which is way better than probably 99% of the RTCs out there.
Right. Yeah.
So you do have to look at that. And yeah, it was career and wrestling.
And you're seeing that a lot. Like they were just talking about it on Flow yesterday, how Kyle Snyder now going to NLWC. Like you're starting to see more RTC switches and trying to, as life happens, as you have careers, girlfriends, wives, like you said, lifestyle. Everybody has to do what's best for you for lifestyle.
There's so many factors in life. We're all not just wrestlers, right? I mean, even some people that are just a wrestler, they're not just a wrestler. They got things going on in their life, and there's changes, and you got to adapt. And, I always loved Penn State. I still go up there. I was still training up there last year. I'd go up time to time and still talk to them. And they know that what the deal was. It was all great terms. And
yeah,
it's just like what you said. You got to adapt.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because part of the adaption is, and I'm really fascinated by your story, because part of your adaptation to wanting to be in the best environment, it's always a give and take. Clearly, in the best of both worlds, I'm sure you'd have Cody and Cal and Casey and those guys come out to Pittsburgh and continue being your coach. But you always have to make sacrifices for different elements of your life. And it seems like, the transition worked well. You were in the finals of the World Team Trial Challenge Tournament this year. It's not like, okay, let me move to Pittsburgh. I'm going to train there. I'm still going to train, but I also really want to focus on my career too. And then it's like, okay, and he fell off. No, you were right there, a few points away, in essence, from making the World Team. How do you stay? I have 37 different questions for this, but how do you stay focused? What's that?
Not 38 questions.
No, if I wasn't getting married this weekend, I'd probably have 39, 40. So how do you stay focused on wrestling while having the full-time career and trying to balance? I know what you do in the finance world, and it's very, in my mind, you act like an entrepreneur. You don't go to a bank 9 to 5. You're generating business. You're maintaining relationships. And I know how that is because it's 24/7. I got people texting me at 5 a.m., 10 p.m., and it's like, this is an emergency. Oh, my gosh. I can't imagine how you juggle it. How do you keep your wrestling goals in perspective with your career, with the finance aspect of the career, I should say?
It's definitely not easy. I'd be lying. But when you enjoy both, it makes it a lot easier. And there was a transition phase, and I always tell people the way I really got started. I started in 2016 in the comprehensive financial planning with my team, Megaludis Financial. And one of the very key things is that we have a team. It's not just me or my dad. People think that it's just myself and my dad.
Yep.
That we're partnered together. No, we have Joe, we have Oaks, we have Natalie, we have Caitlin on our specific team. So when I leave and I'm out in Russia or I'm out here, well, they know our clients, and I don't have to deal with something crazy while I'm out there competing. So if I'm overseas, it's fine. But as far as day-to-day schedule, 2017, I got hurt in the trials. I took the whole kind of summer off, and it's like, you know what? I'm not wrestling. I'm going to figure this work as far as scheduling and how to maintain it, be the best I can be. I took 3 months where really wasn't wrestling, and I just kept transitioning. And I realized, hey, this is how I got to set my schedule. This is what's best for me to not only be the best financial planner I can be, but also the best wrestler. Both. Because I believe you can do two things. If I were to do three, I think that'd be very, 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 very difficult. Where I think you can be great at two things. 2017, basically I figured out, hey, this is what I got to do as far as schedule-wise. And then it just each month I noticed it. And, now I got it down pretty pat. And I do have a team that is awesome, that they know that, hey, this is the times that my schedule, I'm practicing, I'm doing this, doing that. And hey, if I can't be on the phone sometimes, I got 5 other people that they know everything about our clients, and that makes it really nice.
And when you're in practice, when you're overseas, you're in Russia wrestling, do you completely check out, or are you still checking emails, checking progress on things? Is there that level of like, let me tune this one aspect out?
No, well, when I'm in practice, I'm practicing. You know, it's just like when you were in class in college, you know, you'd be getting this paper done, and then you go to practice, forget about it, and then go back and get it done. You know, it's the same thing with practice. I get to wake up, work out, put my business suit on, practice, and then put my business suit on and work a lot till 8, 9 o'clock at night because I love it. And, you know, that's what I do. Just like what you said, I do try and shut it off though. 9 o'clock, I try and say, listen, I need my sleep.
Yep.
I can't have distractions. The things can be taken care of tomorrow, because I do realize how important sleep is. And I think at a certain time, I shut my brain off. I try and not look at all the blue light and everything, calm my mind down. And then when I wake up the next morning, you know, do what I do. So there is a certain time frame where you got to say, listen, I got to shut this down. I got to focus on, even if I wasn't wrestling, even when I am a full-time financial, you got to shut it off at a certain point because it's not healthy.
Right.
I don't believe staying up at 12 o'clock at night doing emails. I don't think that's productive. I think that only will hurt you.
And dude, that's a huge conversation in today's culture, right? It's like, dude, I'll tell you right now, I'm burned out. Like, I've ran my company for 11 years so far, just going 5 a.m. to literally when I pass out. I've never been a night owl, but for me, it's wake up at 5 a.m. The first thing I do is grab my phone, and I go through it for 10, 15 minutes and see, is there any fires I got to put out? Because I do stop earlier than most people as far as when I stop working. There is a lot of people who work 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. And there's sometimes urgent things that I need a guy on first thing in the morning. So it's like I've felt that where it's like you almost feel yourself getting short with clients. You start not loving as much. Like burnout is a huge problem, I think, in culture right now. And it's interesting to hear the perspective because there's so many. It's funny. Everybody has such a unique perspective right now because we're going through a time where everything's so new. Like you have a lot of athletes in college. Like I'm talking to these guys from Spencer to Yanni to whoever, and there's such different perspectives on the use of social media. You and I have had a few calls about it, and you know, you have your opinion. Like everybody has such an opinion, and I think it's finding out what works for you doesn't necessarily work for everyone. There's a lot of people who there's no way they can maintain success in wrestling and have a full-time career and have a successful career. Like you're successful in the finance space and you're successful in wrestling. Do you continue to, let me put it this way. How do you continue to get better in both? Do you ever feel a struggle where it's like, okay, and I'm starting to see like I'm obsessed with this podcast. Like I'll spend 4 hours doing the dumbest thing just for one little like positive return because I love it. And and I'm not like that as much with Bash Solutions like I used to be because the company's kind of an autopilot, but I'm constantly looking, how do I get better at this? How do I get better at that? And I'm kind of one-dimensional. Like I can multitask very well, but I'm also very one-dimensional when it comes to I want to make this better. Is there a balance? Like at the end of the day, I want to, obviously you want to grow your book of business as a financial planner, and every single day you know what it's going to take to win the Olympic trials and make that Olympic team and win Olympic gold. Like, how do you balance trying to get better in both?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, like I said, and Kale always at Penn State said you could, you know, there's 3 things. There's grades, there's your sport, and there's like partying. Yep, pretty much, you know, you can be great at, well, there's lifestyle, like kind of outside life. Yep, there's grades and wrestling. You can be great at 2 out of the 3. You know, I guess if you're going out drinking, it's hard to be good at, you know, but
the other 2.
You get my point. I think I'm kind of wording it wrong a little bit. But I don't think I could do one more thing and be great at it.
Yeah.
I know I can be great at these two things because you have, if I wake up at, I don't know, let's just say 7 or whatever around there, I'm up until 10. That's, a lot of hours in the day that I'm not just going to be training.
Yep.
Right? You don't train for more than 2-3 hours a day. Maybe sometimes. If you're doing that every day, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yep.
I believe. You got to be efficient. My body feels better now than it did when I was 22, when I was 21. Besides
Really?
this, yeah, I feel my lower back, my neck, everything, because it's 24/7, and I'm in the office, and when I do get a break, maybe I have my hypervolt in there, where I take 10, 15 minutes, or I go get a massage, sometimes where, hey, I don't have anything from 1 to 3 o'clock. It's my recovery day. Go get a massage, feel better. So, I feel better than I did when I was 22. But as far as being great, no, I figured it out. I can be great at both. I have it, and it's hard. My social life, I'm social, but during the weekdays, no. I'm waking up and it could be a workout, and then for 4 hours I'm constantly work, and then I get another workout in, and then a lot of times I work till 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
And then in between, sometimes when I'm finishing up, I'm watching YouTube videos of wrestling, breaking stuff down. So a lot of times I do realize it's 8:45 at night, and your whole day is spent wrestling, recover, and work.
Right.
And so, but I realize that sacrifice because that's where I want to be. It's just what I like to do, and so no, you just got to find the time. I do believe 100% I can be. Well, I am great at both. I already am from the holistic, comprehensive financial planning that we do. I study YouTube videos on, podcasts and different things. I'm constantly looking. I like learning. It's fun to me. So you just got to be disciplined. Just like you, you're going 24/7. You're disciplined, and that's when you're disciplined and you have a set schedule, and you put your mind to something and you know what you want. Yeah, that's a pretty good recipe.
And it takes a lot of sacrifice too. Like I'm getting married now. I'm 33 years old, and the company is 11 years old. Like I've put the time in of having no social life. The first 6 years growing the company, I didn't really want a social life. I didn't really want to get married. I knew I couldn't serve two masters, and I couldn't give all myself to a family and have the sacrifice, the level of sacrifice I knew it was going to take to have the company get to where now I can scale back. I just put an autoresponder, and I'm like, guys, listen, none of you can get mad at me because I've given you everything. Like now I'll see you in a week. And, it's like you have to sacrifice to do that. You always have to sacrifice to get there. And I think you're also sacrificing the free time where it's like, some of these college kids don't really have any hobbies, but yeah, you're in school full time. Like you're in class, you're doing homework. So that is a career in and of itself. A lot of the senior level guys now, a lot of them, maybe they're married or maybe they play video games all day. That's what they're choosing to be great at secondarily right now.
Right. Yeah. It's just, what are you going to do with the 10 hours a day that you're not training? I'm not going to be watching wrestling 5 hours a day. I'm not going to. I can watch it a half hour to an hour. Other than that, you start to get crazy. But you're in school. You're doing school for 7 hours a day. I wasn't like a huge fan of school.
Right.
But I did it. I got my good grades, and I still was a pretty good wrestler in college.
So speaking of being a pretty good wrestler, because you are a pretty good wrestler, and a lot of wrestling fans obviously listen to this, let's transition to wrestling a bit.
Yeah.
So you had an injury not too long ago. You're feeling better. Tell me a little bit about like where you're at.
Yeah. So this has been a blessing. I've been, like I said before, my body feels better now than it did when I was 22. Besides this this hiccup.
Yep.
I don't want to call it a hiccup. Let's just call it an injury. It was just kind of a freak little thing. Other than that, my body feels way better. But this has allowed me, because you've seen me wrestle, I go. And it's very hard. One of the reasons I took a redshirt year was to kind of sit back, look at the overall picture. But you're still competing, and I did a good job at that during my redshirt year of sitting back, looking at the big picture. Hey, this is what I got to get better at. But now I can't wrestle. I'm breaking stuff down. I'm watching my videos. I'm watching the World Champion. I'm watching the Continental Cup, this, that, breaking things down of, hey, this is where I want to be. When I wrestle, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do, and really kind of focusing and taking a step back. And I feel like right now, between the visualization that I've been doing of the attacks that I want to get, the studying the film, I feel like, crap, my wrestling's probably better than it was 3 months ago.
Interesting.
Because, when you go to practice, I always go there for a purpose, right?
Yep.
But it's hard when you're practicing for, let's just say, hour and a half practice. You're getting something in the morning done. When you're going to practice, it's really hard sometimes to scale back, for me at least. My biggest strength is I'm a goer. I'm going to stink and grind someone out. I'm going to get after it. The hard work is not an issue. But also that was one of my little negatives of, hey, take a step back, really just visual. I don't want to say visual because I always visualize, but slow visualization maybe.
Yeah.
This is where I want to be. This is the shot. I've really done a lot of that. So I think, and I've also been doing other physical things that I wasn't focusing on before. Little areas that I feel like can help improve my wrestling.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a process. It's my first injury really in my life. I've been very fortunate, thank God.
Yeah.
So you just make the most out of it.
So you're feeling better, I know now. I know you had plans to compete in Belarus. That got pushed back a little bit. Do you know do you have anything scheduled now that you're looking to compete in next? Like, do you know that, or are you still like trying to figure that stuff out?
No, it's just I don't want to rush it.
Yep.
I was even in practice yesterday at Pitt, and I got an underhook on someone. I'm like, oh crap! I like almost went to a sweep single there. I got to be careful right now. Like,
muscle memory is a funny thing.
Yeah, take it slow. I'm way ahead of progress. When it first happened, I was like, wow, this is really time constrained. This is bad timing. But now I look at it, and it's just I have time.
Yep.
So no, I don't know. It's just being smart, being efficient, and strategic with, where I want to be, and when do I want to be there.
And I know you've already said you're going 57. Smart move, not to go up to 65. That's just doesn't seem like a smart move for anybody.
Small. When you're 25-pounder in college and you're wrestling 49-pounders,
right?
It's a little difference.
What are your thoughts on the current landscape of 57 for the trials? I mean, these trials are going to be stupid.
Every weight. When you have 6 weights, every weight is going to be stacked. I mean, it's 57, 65, 74, 86. I mean, every weight is disgusting. But hey, that's why the U.S. is the U.S. I mean, you look at our country now, and we're, as far as our number ones and twos, yeah, we're right up there, the best in the world, and our depth is getting more and more and more. I mean, Russia's obviously their depth. The 20th ranked guy is 20th ranked guy is really, really good. But us, I mean, you have 7, 8 guys at each weight that are pretty doggone good. That could maybe go medal at the Worlds.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't care. Listen, I don't care if it's my sister in my bracket that I got to beat, or if it's Jordan Burroughs, or what if he was down 57, whatever it is. I'm going to go there the same way. I'm going to compete the same way. I'm going to get it done. And I know one thing is that I'm going to give it 100% effort and get after it. So that's basically, I don't care who's at my weight. If it's the easiest weight in the world or the toughest weight, you go wrestle. And yeah, there is some studying. I think I wrestle how I wrestle. At the end of the day, you do got to pick out 1 or 2 things of, hey, this is what he's really good at. This is his weakness. I don't spend a ton of time on, watching, but I think it is important to know who's in your weight.
Totally.
I would to lie if I said I didn't scout my opponents.
And I mean, it's funny, like, not to cut you off, but like just the past week, you're seeing interviews like where Molinaro is saying how guys like Yanni are changing the way he's training, and Yanni's saying, dude, same thing for you. Like, you have to kind of know what people are doing because you'd be ignorant otherwise. Like, you just can't not. I know a lot of guys had that same mindset. It's like, listen, right. I'm not fearful of my competitors, but I'm definitely aware of them. Like, you have to know what you're training for. I
think you have to be at this. I mean, we're the top guys in the world, right? You have to. This isn't PJ or Pennsylvania junior wrestling when I'm 10 years old, which was still really tough.
I was just gonna say it's Pennsylvania. So.
Yeah. I lost a lot of states actually. I should have scouted more. Dang it! But I mean, to beat Ugoyev from Russia or to beat these guys, yeah, I can beat them without studying. But you got. I think studying though, just you got to know. Hey, this is his little weakness, or this is what he's really good at. Hey, he loves an underhook. Well, right. Don't let him get an underhook. Or his weakness is you getting an underhook on him. He gets squirt. Well, and maybe try and get to an underhook.
Right.
Just little things like that.
And it's got to be exciting too, the fact that it's kind of like a homecoming that you get to go through Penn State to make the Olympic team. I mean, what does that feel like to wrestle there, win a national championship there, and then that's where the Olympic trials are? Were you excited when you found that out that it was going to be there?
Yeah. It's it's going to be a good day, and do it in front of my fans, and you can't really ask for anything. I mean, much more than that, besides the Olympic gold,
right?
But that's exciting, and thinking that and seeing myself there, the situation at the BJC, the feel.
What was the last match you wrestled at BJC?
Actually, I think I lost. I think it was Colorado.
Was it? I'm trying to think what it was. So you got vengeance at the Bryce Jordan Center. You need to go out the Bryce Jordan Center on top, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, it blanked my mind.
It was that for sure.
Was it the Ohio State duel? Dude, it seems like already how long ago that was.
Old fart, man. I know.
How old are you now?
27.
Wow.
Feel young though. Young stallion, man.
Dude, to have your body feeling like it is, and I'm still fascinated by the contrast of the career, because I know for me, like, anytime I actually disconnect from work, which is so hard to do, if I go for a walk, for example, and I just take my dogs out, no phone on my walk, it's like
have to.
It's literally like You know, in the cartoons, when they're making some kind of reference where like the clouds open and God's light shines down, it's kind of like that aha moment. And I'm imagining you get some of that. See, my downfall if I were in your shoes, which I could never be, but if I was in your shoes, what would happen to me is that by the time I was done stretching, I'd be like, wait, that's what we should do for this. That's it. I got it. I wouldn't be able to practice anymore. I'd have to go run to my phone because that's what happens with me.
Do some toe touches and,
right.
Wait, got to do this.
Because all it takes is 5 minutes. If I just, 2 weeks ago, I flew out to the West Coast and there was no Wi-Fi on the plane. And I started going nuts like 20 minutes in because I'm like, things just start coming to me. I had to go read a book. I literally read an entire book. Because I'm like, if I just let my mind go for the next 4.5, 5 hours, I'm going to have so many notes in my notepad app on my iPhone and have all these things to do when I get back. So I ended up reading a book and it was great, but I'm imagining it really helps you to disconnect for a little bit when you can go to practice and then come with a recharged mind. Dude, like I said, even though just walking my dogs for 10 minutes,
yes.
I feel like 4 different things come to me because we get so stuck in it.
Yeah, you look at life, I mean, it's a hurricane, you know, you're constantly on that, I always like to call it a treadmill called life. You know, you're going. Well, and then in my profession, I tell people, because I'm meeting tons of business owners, people that are going crazy, and I'm like, well, our job is to get you off that treadmill called life every 3 to 6 months, you know, make sure, you know, we're getting off that treadmill, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing in our day-to-day lives. I think stress and managing it is super important. I try to, you know, if I go out to eat, sometimes, you know, not having my phone by me is great sometimes.
It's a blessing. It is a blessing.
You got to disconnect with things and, hey, take me time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, today I'm getting a massage. You know,
yeah.
And when I can, it's like, because my brain spins a lot. That's just how I am. You know, I'm constantly thinking. Yeah, I mean, you got to be. If you're a business owner, you're
right.
You're thinking that way. But you got to connect or disconnect. It's so important. I mean, managing stress, managing your life. Hey, this is how I want to live, because when you do that, it makes you more productive. At least for me,
no, same.
Makes me more productive in my business. You know, and I read up a lot of that stuff. You know, just you know, my day is obviously work, wrestling, recovery, nutrition, but also looking at, hey, this is how you recover. This is how you de-stress. These are things like, that's why my body feels better. Two is I'm doing things that help my mind be more clear, and my body, you know, obviously my body feel better. So.
And it's always funny because I never realized until the last couple of years how much I appreciate dead silence. I think especially as a Christian, I need that dead silence for God to like give me clarity, work things out in my heart, kind of recharge me. Like my fiance the other day, we were driving to Buffalo and I didn't want any music on in the car because usually the car, I rarely listen to music. I love the silence. Everybody's so afraid of silence. Really? I love it. Yeah, every time I'm in the car, I very, very rarely listen to music. I listen to music when I'm working out and around the house during the day. That's pretty much it, though.
So the car is just silent.
The car is either a podcast or a book or dead silence.
Wow.
Because it's like you have 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Like how far is where you're training from your house?
Yeah, 12, 15 minutes.
Right. It's like, so and I can't get silence. And me trying to stay, especially like, I have such a bad habit, like being on my phone. I try so hard not to text and drive, email and drive. So for me, it's like, I have no excuse.
Yeah.
Like, so if I'm going to have, even when I go for a walk, it's hard not to take my phone with me for the walk. But the car, it's like, okay, you can't touch your phone. Now's perfect silence time. Like, no phone and silence go great together. And there's very few times, like the sauna and steam room, I get that silence, the car. But I need that silence. You need to decompress, to just have that clarity whether it's, like I said, as a Christian, for me, it's that time where God can just do anything he wants in my heart, and we're not just filling ourselves. We listen, I preach content for a living. I understand the importance of putting it out, but I also understand how much we consume and how good it is to stop consuming it for 15 minutes and just let whatever's going to happen for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you can handle. So for me, the car works great.
Interesting. I mean, I have to try that. I haven't tried that one out. Usually when I'm in the car, I'm just like you said, doing something,
Right.
So it's a good, I learned something there. I'm going to try it.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. Like, it drives her nuts. She's like, I like music. I need music in the car. I'm like,
Even if it's 5 minutes, do it,
Correct. and you don't have to, you don't need to take your radio out of your car, but just leaving it off for 5 minutes makes such a little difference. And going back to kind of what started that is, I can imagine how helpful that is for you to switch back and forth, to be able to say, I'm in wrestling, I'm focused on wrestling, that's it. And that is your like,
exciting.
I love when I physically can't think about something. And that's what wrestling does. Like, you're drilling, you're lifting, you're doing conditioning, you're practicing, you're doing anything. You physically can't think, oh, hey, Apple stock looks lucrative. Like, you can't. There's not that time. And when you're forced not to think, it's got to help you.
It's refreshing, and that it's good for me. 100%.
That's interesting. Well, listen, man, I know you got a busy schedule, and I don't want to take too much more of your time up, so I'm going to let you get back to work. I hope you enjoy that massage today. We're going to do this again close to the Olympic trials, because I'm so pumped for this coming season. I'm pumped.
Like a stinking caged lion right now. I've never had 3 months off the mat besides 2017, but I've really this time been forced to. And I'm really excited to get back. I think I'm going to have a lot of I don't know.
I get it.
See things through my head that I don't think I was able to see before. And I'm really excited to be down at 57 kilos. I can beat anyone in the world at 61. I know I didn't, but I beat, some very good guys, and but 57 is my weight class. I mean, as soon as I watched a little bit, my body's shrunk where I'm probably lighter than most 57s right now.
Interesting.
And I feel absolutely amazing. And
Dude, coming back from an injury, like I was just talking to Ashland about it a couple of weeks ago, where he's like, I didn't know if I even wanted to continue doing this. And then as soon as you took it away from me and I couldn't do it for 3 months, 4 months, I never itched harder to wrestle.
Yeah, my freshman year, NCAA tournament, or right after Big Tens, the next week I was off the mat. I be honest, I broke out with like a skin condition.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be on the mat. I remember getting back on the mat, I think it was a week later. It was either Saturday, like 4 or 5 days before the Nationals, or it was Monday, 3 days before. And I got back, I'm like, oh my gosh. I feel like superhuman. And I wrestled pretty good at Nationals that year. I was a very, very bad seed, and I was in the finals. Yeah. And I felt, it wasn't just that, I just felt like, boom, everything's clicking. And I think,
and that's after only a week off.
I know. I think sometimes injuries, but it's your choice. It's how you choose to let the injury affect you. And I think most of the people at my level, some of them may get a little, may not use it in the best of their ability, but I think whenever you choose to make it the best, it's sometimes better than training. I think visualization and breaking things down and seeing what you want is just as good, or if not better sometimes, than training, to a certain point, of course.
It comes down to mental strength. That's what that is. That's having the proper mindset, having the proper perspective. Because when you go through an injury or you go through anything where you're off the mat, your body becomes numb in essence, and all you can use is your mind. And then it's how strong is your mind? How well can you keep a proper perspective?
Last night, so I have YouTube on my TV. I was going to get into wrestling, but a Joe Rogan thing popped up, and it was this girl. Her name was like Carolyn something. I forget.
Okay.
And it's this like 200-mile race through all these woods, and took her like 50-some hours. And I started watching. I'm like, wow, I got to look this girl up. So I, like 9 o'clock at night, I see this documentary. I still got to finish it sometime today. It's like a 40-minute thing. It's all mental. It's just like 200-mile race. You can't train for it. It's days.
How do you train for that?
You can't, because you're not sleeping for 2 days. And I was just thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, man, it's all mental. It's all how you choose to respond to things. And, when your body, she in one of her things, it said she slept for 1 minute. 1 minute, like she in the middle of it, and she came back. She was so refreshed, ready to go. It's like, wow,
that's nuts. I've never even heard of anything like that.
Yeah, I forget her name.
Yeah, you got to send me that. I want to listen to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I know I got off on a tangent, but basically it's all mental. That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, no, I do. I think when it goes back to the silence thing too, it's turning on the mind, and an injury forces you to do that. And it's always exciting when you can lose your mind, or when you can lose everything else and just find your mind a little bit, and you're either going to win or lose based on that. Like our mindsets and our perspectives are so powerful. Sometimes it's not the circumstance. Sometimes it's how you process and deal with it and what you take out of it. And that's
everyone trains hard. Everyone, or not everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's level. People train hard. Most of the people are eating pretty good. It's not like I'm spending an hour or more a day than my opponent.
Right.
I'm trying to make it more efficient. I'm giving it my all, but the training, there's not a huge difference. It comes down to really seeing where you want to be, and taking it in perspective and using this. And that's what separates the best business owner, financial advisor, and athlete.
Yeah.
Is mentality. All those guys, they've trained millions of hours in their life, but it comes down to that 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Who's going to be stronger mentally?
Dude, look at Frank in the 16 Olympic trials. The 9 seed runs through the field.
Yeah, you look at the difference between, I don't know, it could be me and Fix or me and Gilman or whoever it is. No one's 20 points better
right
than someone. Maybe in a particular match if you choose, but it all comes down to those top 8 guys. It's, well, who's doing everything right?
And who's doing it right today?
Yeah, day in and day out. And then when you step on the mat, who's choosing to wrestle really to the best of their ability and wrestle better and make sure you fight for every single point? And that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day, is that. Because there's not a 20-point difference between me and Gilman.
Yeah.
Or me and Sixer. There's not. Maybe there's a few, on average, a few points. I don't know. But who's going to show up tougher that day? That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I was excited, and now you got me more excited.
Now, let's go. Let's get to work, baby.
All right, man. Well, listen, I'm going to let you get back to work.
Listen to no music, no podcasts, the whole rest of the day.
I love it. And by the way, let me know how that works out for you. Try it. Next time you get in your car, don't listen to music. Just see what happens, and then text me. Let me know.
All right.
Cool, man. Well, listen, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and making the time, man. And that's today's show. Be sure to follow the Baby Flow Nico Megaludis on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And if you guys have any financial needs, if you guys are looking for someone to give your financial planning business to, him and his dad really do awesome work. So listen, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, Stitcher, Overcast, wherever podcasts are played. And be sure to leave the podcast a 5-star review. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.
And the beat goes on, goes on, goes on, goes on.